Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the next session of our Azure Decoded series. I'll be your producer for this session. I'm an event planner for Reactor, joining you from Redmond, Washington. Before we start, I do have some quick housekeeping. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. While we absolutely encourage engagement in the chat, we ask that you please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional, and on topic. Keep an eye on that chat. We'll be dropping helpful links and checking for questions for our presenters to answer live. Our session is being recorded. It will be available to view on demand right here on the Reactor channel. With that, I'd love to turn it over to our presenters for today. Thank you so much for joining.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining our Azure Decoded series. This is another episode in our ongoing series that we have. I know that we've chatted about agents, AI at its foundation, migration, modernization, even some things for data and databases. But today I'm super excited to be joined by Marco, and we're going to get into the relationship between AI and security. But I just want to pass it over to Marco to give a little introduction about yourself before we jump into everything.
Sure, thanks, Aaron. So Marco Nuyen here. I'm a trainer at Microsoft, located in the beautiful country of the Netherlands in Europe, and I'll be taking you through Defender for Cloud and AI security.
Incredible. And like always, for our reviewers, if you have any questions while we're talking through all these concepts, please feel free to drop in the chat. I want this to be as interactive as possible. And yeah, with that, we can kick it off. But super excited to dive into today's topic, because I think when people hear AI and security, sometimes it can be overwhelming. It feels, and it still is, very new. But before we kind of dive into everything security related, would love to help just orient the audience as we think about how AI workloads aren't always just apps. They can be multi-layered systems, data pipelines, different model endpoints, orchestration layers across Microsoft Foundry. But Marco, would love to kind of just hear like an overview from you around your thinking for AI and security, maybe how it's developed and why it's more important now than ever.
Well, that's a couple of interesting questions you bring up there. So security, AI, lots of challenges with that. So AI is, of course, like everywhere nowadays. Security should also be everywhere, but the amount of AI is growing. And I guess it's also more difficult to defend against just everything out there. So let's go into what I've cooked up for you for this session, to talk a little bit about one of the tools in our arsenal that can help us understand AI better, not AI itself, but the things from a security perspective, to make sure it's running correctly out of the box. And then when people are prompting, it's doing the right thing, because that's what we're interested in, right? Lots of organizations are worried about input, output, the data, the interaction, and also the magnitude, the amount of AI servers that are out there. So moving, and what we'll do is we'll talk a little bit about the landscape, and we'll go and look at some of these capabilities that come through a product like Microsoft Defender for Cloud. As was said, please share your questions in a meeting chat. We'll be taking them. Hopefully we can take them in between. Aaron, it would be great if you can call them out. Then I don't have to look at the screen all the time below my presentation to see what people are asking. But if there's lots of questions, we'll park them a little bit also towards the end for some more dedicated Q&A time. So what are we going to talk about? Well, what are the core pieces, right? It's about AI, generative AI, large language modules, interacting, prompting. And we want to look at some of the core capabilities when it comes to security aspects. And then we will look at what does it look like. So what will it look like from a usability perspective, interacting with AI, securing it, getting insights, and well, hopefully not, but in all likelihood we will have alerts of things where things have not gone wrong, not have gone right completely. Also want to think about a couple of additional considerations later on, but let's keep that more towards the end. And of course we'll do a wrap up, and there will be time for Q&A if we've got questions that we're not able to pick up on directly. And Aaron, like before, at any time, please interrupt me if there's something. Feel free. There is
Absolutely.
plenty of things to talk about, but like with many things, the devil is in the detail here. So if there's something you can think of and ask, then please do so.
Will do. Thanks, Marco.
Okay, excellent. So what are the core pieces? Fundamentally, we need to talk about AI workloads and also about risks that they introduce, the things that are associated with it. So what is an AI workload? Where will it run from our perspective in some of our platforms at Microsoft? And what kind of AI-specific risks do we need to think of? And to put this in bigger perspective, what's the bigger picture? AI is fascinating, it's fast, it's new, it's hip, but it fits into an existing world. It augments that. It just brings something new into the equation. But the pace at which it's moving is incredible. So that brings in yet another dynamic that we may have not seen before. So I want to focus a bit on these elements here. But when I was preparing for this session that we have here, I was thinking, what is it that makes it so different? Well, lots of things are the same old. There's nothing new. There are some dynamics that are different, but definitely there's the elephant in the room, and it's AI and security. And security typically is all about risk, and risk is not hypothetical. And for AI, there's so much of it that there's more risk, and it could be an accident waiting to happen, right? Things can go wrong very, very quickly. And when things go wrong, we need to be quick about it. We need to, respond quickly. We need to see something went wrong, and something went boom, something didn't go as we had planned, and then we deal with it. So we respond to that, we recover, but of course we also want to make sure that we've got things in place that it will not happen again in the future, and also that we can hopefully prevent it. Lessons learned, looking at how other people, other organizations have done things, where they have maybe taken a wrong turn, where we can maybe prevent taking a similar wrong turn, right? Learning from others, lessons learned. So it's this kind of thing that is actually the capability that we'll see in the platforms that we'll introduce later. I've borrowed a picture from a Microsoft reference architecture. It's about expressing this when things go wrong, and we detect it, things go boom, we have to respond to it, and we have to recover. We will call that right or bang. Something went wrong, it went boom, and we need to deal with the after effects, the ripple effect. The quicker we are, the better it is, the less additional of collateral damage there will be, but we need to respond, and of course we need to recover. And things we learn, we start retrofitting to make sure that we can protect the future, and that will be left of bang. AI is moving at a fast pace. We need to do both, right? We need to be able to have smart detections, but also to move towards the part where we can prevent things. And we are learning as we move along, but there's already a lot of things that we have learned so far about AI. Prompt injections, tipping an engine towards being not proper, not respectful. We've trained these models on certain metrics, but people try to make them behave badly, for example. So there's lessons learned, and we can protect against that, and that will be there. So things will go boom, and that will that will always be the case. But what can we do to prevent that? Well, from AI, there's a couple of specific risks that have become very, very evident over the last, in the last 2-3 years or so, that we're dealing with this generative AI boom, this wave.
Right. Especially even more so now with agents as well, too.
Oh, yeah, agents. That's even more, right? We already had all the generative AI. Now we've got these little worker drones, these worker bees that are doing their thing independently, and we're getting more and more of them. Yeah, it's like it's not that it's uncontrolled, but the amount of AI agents we're getting is really staggering. And I look at some of these environments, it's mind-boggling how quickly they are being developed. With some of the risks that we see associated here, right? Prompt injection, people putting something into a prompt that they maybe shouldn't have. Asking an AI engine or an agent something, and it produces output. Maybe the output it has presented you is not meant for your eyes, right? Maybe exposes you to data the engine's got access to, but you shouldn't have, because, let's face it, in a lot of organizations, the data classification is not what it maybe should be. So data overexposure, accidental leakage, insider risk, abuse, risks that have been in existence for a long time, but through AI, get exposed much, much more. I sometimes simplify things a little bit. Prompt is like searching. It's a bit more than that. We all know that, but it's like search on steroids. So if you do something in a prompt or in a search that is not appropriate, well, we should be able to see that, right? Now, when it comes to running things on our platforms, like on Azure, there's 5 layers to think of. And there will be the model endpoints. So these are the large language modules that you can tap into, that have been trained. We'll typically use retrieval services to connect it to yet other content, to ground it, for example, in your own documents. And that's what Microsoft 365 Copilot is very good at, grounding it into the data that you are allowed as a person to see in your enterprise, going through all your documents, your mail, and with the LLM producing yet other results based on your own data. We need to interact the application layer. There's the data layer, which holds the prompts, the storage, the retrieval, and things like that. And we need to have the orchestration, the thing that binds everything together. So this is what we need to think of when it comes to AI, workloads around AI that we are going to host in Azure. And from a security perspective, again, we go left of bank, go right of bank, something happened, there's an alert, we need to respond quickly to it. And hopefully, we'll be able to respond automatically. Automation is great. It gives us human beings more time to let the machines handle everything. So we can maybe have a coffee or work on our backlog. But it also increased the velocity. And when something happens, it's important probably to act quickly. It's like when you're looking at a house burning down, you can say, hey, the house is burning down. Now, come on, do something about it, right? Otherwise, you don't have a place to live anymore. So you need to do things at speed, right? So the quicker, the better. So automation fits into that paradigm very, very, very well. I put this in because it also gives us some idea about things where, well, AI can be misused, misled. Prompt injections, indirect prompt injection, unauthorized access, giving you access to more data. But we covered some of those potential risks already a little bit earlier. And this is the kind of landscape we want to get insights into. The quicker, the better. So think about it. When you're developing an AI workload, you shouldn't wait until it's completely finished and then start bolting on things. No. It should be embedded as early on as possible. Another shift left pattern that we often talk about from a security is making sure that the code is okay. You build something, you've got code. The code needs to be proper. So we inspect the code, we look for secrets, we look for all kinds of patterns that we know are not good before the code gets deployed. In that sense, AI is not any different. We want to shift left, we want to get as close as we can get to the moment when it gets created, and then learn along the way, right? We want to play along, to see what it is doing, to learn from that, and also start looking at behavioral patterns. The world nowadays is about behavior. Security and elements is not static. It's not only about who you are, what you're doing, but also where you are, how you are. Are you patched? Are you not? Are you maybe in a location that's not trustworthy? So there's lots of behavioral aspects that come into play. The same will apply for AI. We're going to look at what's it doing? Is it doing the things that it normally does, or is it doing something differently? That will give us signals to start protecting it better. Now again, the reasons why is it so important that we focus on AI and security? The data. Data is crucial. What data does it got access to? What data is it producing? Because we're creating more and more new data structures, documents, PowerPoints, videos, whatever. Based on AI processes. So we also need to make sure that the output of that is indeed what it needs to be. That it doesn't contain sensitive information, no social security numbers, credit card numbers, things like that. And of course, when users are interacting, traditionally we're expecting people to go to a portal, maybe do something, and it's very predictable. But with prompting in AI, you're typically using natural language, and there's much more variety with that. And native speakers, non-native speakers, dialects. If you ask something to your friend and your friend says, well, what do you say? And you ask it again, you probably use a little bit of different wording, right? So it's these changes that are so common for us in natural language, which we start doing also against these engines. So it becomes very difficult to predict the input and therefore control the output. Now, the other thing is the expanded the expanded attack surface. Evan has already said the amount of agents out there, it's growing wild. There's so many of them. So we get more and more and more. It's like this children's story about the caterpillar always eating stuff and just growing. And hopefully will turn into a beautiful butterfly at some point. But so far it is growing. It's just eating. It's consuming, right? It's getting more and more and more and more and more. And we need to somehow constrain it. We need to get some controls into place. The risks, now, again, I already mentioned these, so we don't need to really go over them again. But what is important, it's all connected. I just took a graphic to get some graph idea about how things are connected. Typically, you are logged in, right? You're looking at the video, maybe on the live session. You're using a device, you're logged in somehow in an account, you consume data over a network. It's all connected, right? And the same will apply to everything is in the AI space and other spaces. From a conceptual perspective, what is really good to know is the concept of zero trust. Maybe you're familiar with it. If not, I can highly recommend it. There's plenty of content nowadays around it. And we can project this also onto AI. And AI and zero trust actually are quite symbiotic. Let me get to that in a second. The idea is that we will have data somewhere and we'll extract that. We'll have applications that work with data. The application may be hosted on an infrastructure like Azure. And we maybe use a network to connect our devices to. And then as a user with an identity, we'll log in. So identity, endpoints, data apps, infrastructure, network are like 6 architectural pillars, we call them in zero trust. And what we want to do is have visibility. And visibility is giving us overview. And the more pieces we have, that's like piece of a puzzle. The more pieces you have, you stick them together, you see the bigger picture. And it's all connected, right? So the visibility that we can start automating things and start orchestrating things, that's where we need to, acquire puzzle pieces. And that's what we're heading to with Defender for Cloud in a moment, talking about what kind of piece of the puzzle from a security perspective can it offer us to get control, to see what's happening in an AI workload, to maybe prevent it from going the wrong way or dealing with it, the left of bang, right of bang that I referred to earlier. Zero Trust and AI is very symbiotic. Now, as a security architect before and as a Microsoft trainer, I love AI. I wouldn't, I probably still could, but I wouldn't want to do without it. It accelerates analysis. So you're building maybe things on AI, you know what it's like. For me, I'm also starting to build things to help me in the security space, to analyze the vast amount of data, to be able to find things quicker that otherwise would have taken me much longer to find, because I need to write some weird scripting code, and now I can just in natural speech ask an engine to produce the output for me. So that's more the right side where AI accelerates zero trust, but also AI requires zero trust. You need to have an idea of your data. You need to know what's in it, and you need to know where it's going, right? So those kind of architectural pillars of zero trust need to be part of the AI game also. Long story so far, right? But what is it when it comes to the core capabilities? Aaron, go ahead, please. You want to say something?
Yes, I love that overview. I think that, and also want to speak on part of some of the viewers, because I know as a vibe coder that turned into more of a developer, given just the speed of AI, working across things like Cloud Code, Copilot, Azure Foundry, or excuse me, Microsoft Foundry now. I think it would be interesting to hear your perspective a little bit for our viewers or for developers who maybe index more on the AI side or index more on the security side. But what do you feel like is the most common AI security mistake or maybe like oversight that teams or individuals face right now?
So the biggest thing that people or teams face when it comes to AI, the thing that gets underestimated most, I think, from my perspective, it would be the amount of it. Right? It's the amount of the agents being developed currently is really exploding, and making sure that there are some controls in place over that. In the past, I would have said it's developers not developing their code right, and but you can't blame people for not knowing something. So I guess that has shifted also a bit with the technologies that we're going to see, where as an individual, you don't really need to know all the ins and outs to make sure that it is going to be secured. And there's platform capabilities that will do it for you based on lessons learned. You can apply lessons learned from other organizations to what you've developed and make sure that you don't have to invent your own wheel. But I think it's the amount of things that we're seeing out there that is my biggest worry. That makes
Got it.
sense?
No, that makes complete sense. Yeah, it just sounds like what you said outlined so well is like the problem that developers are kind of facing right now are really focused usually on what does the model do? How do we think about model selection, platform capabilities? And it seems like this shift into a close relationship between zero trust architecture and AI security is where security teams really think about what the model could what the model could be made to do to ensure that there's that consistency across development and production, as well as making things secure.
True. There's one thing I think I need to add also, just popped in my mind. It's also, AI is great, it accelerates, but we need to make sure that there is some output validation in place. Right? If we just go blindly take all the snippets of code that is produced through AI, then we may have, well, maybe the source to start out with wasn't proper. So the output validation, I think, is something that still needs to be done. There needs to be someone in the organization that's still able to read the output and understand what the engine was doing. Who controls the controller? Who controls the machine? We should not let the machines control us, but that's more like maybe a bit of a science fiction theme here also. But we need to make sure that what we get out of these prompts, that it is actually not hallucinating, to name a popular word.
Of course, yeah. And then I just see in chat here, Tech Trade Business. Hello there. Thank you for joining. Excited to have you on. Just let us know if you have any other questions while you view. So yes, now that we've kind of covered prompt injecting, where we've looked at the different kind of model misuse, data leakage, would love to kind of shift gears into the core capabilities. How do all of these services actually connect and come together?
So when it comes to core capabilities, so we're talking about core capabilities that we have in our platforms running on Azure and other workloads. That's what we want to get into. So simple list, and there will be independent sessions on all of these in future. So for today, our focus is mainly on the Defender for Cloud aspect that we see just at the second bullet here. On top is Microsoft Foundry. That's where a lot of development is taking place. There are controls inside of that environment too, based on lessons learned, to make sure prompts are good, content is safe. So locked into that development cycle of developing agents within Foundry, there's already guardrails that we can turn on. That's not our focus for today, but rest assured that there's all these capabilities we're looking at. There's more and more AI built into it, but lots of it is quite new. So many things that you'll probably see in here are going to be also new to you, because they often didn't exist like a year ago. The second bullet here, Defender for Cloud, posture management and workload protection, two very specific terms. I do want to explain them in a little bit. In essence, it's about how things are configured. That's posture management. And the second one is workload protection. What is it doing? What's its behavior? Those two aspects are typically the dynamics that the Defender for Cloud can deal with. And it's been enhanced now with understanding that for AI workloads. And that's the interesting part for today. What can Defender for Cloud do to understand our AI workloads? How can it be enabled? And what else is there? What are the other considerations? The other two are listed here, Purview and Entra. Purview is a big family of capabilities. It deals with what we would call data security posture management. So it's really looking into data. What kind of data do we have? Where is it stored? So Purview would be an ideal place, for example, to store prompts or to send prompts to that people are using, and the output. So Purview can scan what it is and say, hey, there's something in there that shouldn't be. Data classification, preventing data leakage. So that would be where Purview fits in. And the last one here is Entra ID, which is the holder of identities. That's where you go in the Microsoft portfolio and other portfolios to be authenticated, to prove that you are what you say you are, and after that you'll get permissions, right? So these are very closely connected, and our focus will be mainly on Defender for Cloud.
And then Marco, I have a question before
yeah.
we move on really quick. I know that in my world in Azure, working kind of on the AI, the Foundry side, something that we've recently kind of talked about, and I know I think it's live, correct me if I'm wrong, but is there also now like an agent Entra ID that exists?
Yeah. Oh,
Mm.
you're really up to speed then, because it's introduced quite recently. I think I still need to write an article on that for LinkedIn or something. But yeah, we've come to the realization. So we should talk about Entra. Entra is all about identity, human, non-human, and we try to squeeze AI into the non-human identities, what we call the service principle, but it just didn't fit. With AI, and if you're developing in Foundry, you probably have seen this, you're developing an agent. Agents often got a parent. So you have a template where the agent is derived of. So the parent has an identity, the agent has an identity. So, and you'll have many agents and agents and agents. Kaboom. You have an explosion of agents. So we need to find a way to like structure that, organize that. And that's where Agent ID now comes in. So think of it as a template that will spin off like childs, a parent template with spins off child, which are agents. And if we want to control all the agents, we can maybe modify the template and it will inherit to all the agents. That's in a nutshell what we're doing with Entra ID. But it's a very new pattern, and I guess we all need to read more on it, right?
No, thank you, Marco.
But
Yeah.
it's an amazing question, and it's actually I deliver quite a lot of training. It's top of mind for many people that come to security classes. What are these agents? How can we control all these generative AI capabilities?
No, absolutely. Yeah. Even like internally for work that I do, it's something I've run into recently because I'm like, wait, I'm creating these agents for our viewers who have watched our multi-agent orchestration episodes. I've fully done that for myself internally. And then it kind of came to the question of, well, from an enterprise perspective, how do we like now look at actually giving my agents their own kind of Entra ID? So yeah, that's something that's also been top of mind. Thank you for explaining.
Yeah, in the past, when you develop something, you would have like 1 or 2, maybe 10 instances. With agents, it's a bit different, right?
Yes.
Every user will have their own, and maybe multiple. So again, it's this explosion. Now, Foundry has the top one here. We're not going to talk about that in this session this much, but what we are going to talk about is Defender for Cloud. And put on your thinking caps and think about the model. Defender for Cloud is ideally suited for understanding code, so shifting left in the code, looking into code quality before it gets deployed onto a platform like Azure. And I'm saying like Azure because it can also do other cloud platforms, but it's about understanding the quality of the code before it gets pushed out. And once it's pushed out, it will start looking at how things are configured on a management plane. So if you look at a platform like Azure, there's things running on top of Azure. It's called infrastructure, a virtual machine, a database, something else that's going to be running. We want to know whether that is in line with recommendations, right? What are the advisories from CIS, Center for Internet Security, or for NIST, or for PCI, of other frameworks? What are the advisories for this kind of workload? How should it be running? That's where security posture management fits in. And then a level deeper, what is it actually doing in the workload, in the infrastructure? What is it doing? Maybe a good analogy for this is thinking about a SQL server. Who can install the SQL server, where it's located, who moves it around, who makes a backup. So that will be more on the management plane, securing the posture of the server, and then the data inside of it, the database, the rows, the columns, and who's accessing that, and at what pattern are they doing it. That would be more like a workload protection, right? And these kind of two things that Defender for Cloud is set up for now also for AI, and that's what we're getting into. The last part is not so much the thing that is part of Defender for Cloud. It's more a part of Purview, where Purview, like I said before, is able to retrieve or actually we can share information to Purview and it can go and inspect that. So we can share prompts to it, we can share the output of prompts, and Purview will do its task to find patterns, to analyze whether there's content in there that maybe is sensitive information types, or content that is trained on Purview. One of the things I really like is the profanity algorithms we built into it. So it can detect cursing in all kinds of languages, including my native language, which is Dutch. But that's more the Purview capability that is part of the CSPM. Our focus, mostly for the session, for the demo in a moment, is Defender for Cloud. Defender for Cloud is what you would call a cloud-native application protection platform. So it's been enhanced with all kinds of capabilities to understand how something is configured, whether it's in line with how it should be, and then what is it actually doing? Is it doing what it is supposed to do? And is it now doing something different than it was doing yesterday? Right? So it's behavioral analytical capabilities. And as the picture shows, it does it for multiple platforms. So from a shift left on the coding part, Azure DevOps, GitHub, GitLab, JFrog, a couple of other ones have been introduced into it. And from a cloud infrastructure perspective, AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud are included. So that's the part that we're going to get into. Now, I think it's time to go and have a look at the platform. But before we do that, Zero Trust visibility, having an overall bird's eye view, I don't want to miss the opportunity to talk about yet another Defender. We're going to see Defender for Cloud, but there's a whole family of Defenders, but they're all working together. Defender for Cloud is one of the capabilities that will give us a piece of the puzzle that we can combine with other things to see the whole picture. The whole picture is what we are painting with Microsoft Defender. So things from Defender for Cloud, which have been enabled, will be handled on the Defender for Cloud level, but then it will also be forwarded to a higher aggregation level, and it will be with Defender for Cloud. There's also capabilities like Microsoft Sentinel, or a cloud-native SIEM solution, so security event and security incident monitoring, and automating the response is included. It's part of, yet again, a bigger picture, and this is a link if you want to read more about our security platforms, how they all work together. It's a good link because it also shows you the direction that we're heading with the unified security operations platform, where Defender for Cloud is a part, and for us today it's a very important one, to make sure our agent workloads, our AI workloads are what they need to be, and they're behaving properly. But we want to have the signal also available in other places, so we can combine it with other threat intelligence information. If Aaron is doing prompting and he's not doing the right thing, I would like to see that come from Defender for Cloud, but maybe also something on his device or something on the network, where there might be multiple places where there's something around Aaron and his behavior turning up, and all of that together makes me say, hey, Aaron, we need to go and talk to you. Right? We need to have a serious conversation because there's something really, really not okay. Okay, so what does it look like? What does it look like? A small walkthrough. I'll be using a portal just to guide you a bit through Defender for Cloud. Maybe it's your first time with Defender for Cloud, maybe not. There's, I think, plenty of content over the years to be enlightened about the platform. I'm just going to take us through a small walk in the capabilities here.
And Marco?
So, yes, go ahead, please.
Really quick, I'm so sorry. Could you go back to that slide that kind of has an overview of, maybe it's like 2 slides back?
Yeah, sure. Let me, you mean you want this one?
Yes, perfect.
Yes.
I think that I just wanted to comment on this because, one, I think your overview was spot on, really kind of bringing together all the different pieces of what we've been talking about. But I think this kind of shows how it actually comes to life in practice. And what I want people to understand and our viewers to really grasp from this is that everything Marco had covered in terms of our core capabilities and services for thinking about AI security, different cloud, these aren't, or we should not think about these as for separate tools that are just like built together. Ideally, they are designed to work as a unified stack. So when Defender for Cloud detects that anomalous behavior, Purview already knows what data the model has to assess. And exactly like Marco was saying for the Entra ID that enforces access policies and Foundry's guardrails, and something that we have called control plane. One other area I just wanted to validate with you, because there might be viewers that have a similar question, but given this view, and I'd say the evolution of security roles and exactly how AI plays in all that, is it the right assumption that, I guess, how it comes to life is developers would own building things correctly, building different apps, agents, that Foundry integration, and making sure that their data is safe for like the right handling. And then security engineers own kind of like the posture management of all the Defender for Cloud recommendations that come from that. While they both might need to know around like Foundry and Defender that give them the the same shared surface, does that split sound right? Kind of like having an overview into both, but the security team is able to get a lot more insights from what you have here.
So one thing, so that you, one thing you added very, very nicely as a good reminder. All the things work together, right? So they're designed to work together. Microsoft technology, but also there's room for others, right? I don't want to neglect that. I work with a lot of organizations that were very diverse in the capabilities that they've chosen. So there's it's just a small bullet, third parties and partners, but the ecosystem is quite large, and but of course the things we build they are meant to work together. They are meant to be clicked together, and the more we turn on, the more visibility we get. So I just wanted to say that. But Aaron, can you please repeat your question, because I think I didn't get the gist of it.
Oh no, you're totally fine. Yeah, the main piece was for developers. When we're thinking about AI security, their focus is on the Foundry integration and making sure that the data is safe. And then security engineers are focused on how does Defender for Cloud really help create kind of the secure platform across. Is that the right way for developers to think about it? Or do you have like maybe any insight into that?
I'm not a big fan of like silos and doing splits. Right? So developers should, of course, stay in line with codes with the code for secure platforms and coding, security development life cycles (SDL). ISO 27034 would be an example. That's doing threat modeling when you do something, because it's not a them and us, a them or us kind of thing. It's all of us together, right? We're on the same team to build functionality for the enterprise, but also to make sure we'll be able to secure it and keep it secure, get secure and stay secure. So, but in full truth, yeah, the developers are probably more focused on getting the things up in the air, and if they use these technologies that we're talking about, if they're embedded already, then quite a lot of things that the developers should think of will be thought of by the platform, right? So it speeds up their journey. Still, they need to think about it, but it's easy to miss something. Something falls between the cracks, and that's where the tooling comes in. And the security team, if it's a SOC team, security operations team, they're likely more inclined to think about what will happen if something goes wrong, right? They're more in the reaction mode. Do we have enough capabilities to react quickly? So there's a bit of both.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for the clarity.
All right. Now I'm going to move again to this part. So it's just a placeholder slide, and I was sliding in a portal, a view of a Defender for Cloud. There's lots of things to look at. There's lots of color codes in here and eye candy and things like that. Let me zoom in a little bit to just make it a bit bigger. I'm not going to do a full dissection, of course, of the capabilities. We wouldn't have time for that. Our focus for today is really looking at what is new in Defender for Cloud when it comes to helping to secure these AI workloads, agents, and all of that. Already in the UI, if you look at it, you start hopefully seeing it. There's a section that says data and AI. I want to skip some of the things that we're looking at on the screen right now and immediately dive into that, because from there we can have a good overview of what the capabilities actually are. If I go into data and AI security again, we'll see another dashboard. Now for this demo environment, so zoom out a little bit again. For this environment, there have been multiple environments that have been added. Now, mind you, our focus is mostly AI security, but as you can see in the heading, it says data and AI, right? So why is that? Don't ask me, but I think they are closely connected. AI gives us much quicker access to vast amounts of data, and based on that, we can produce new sets of data. So it's helping us to analyze and do something with data at scale. So I guess that would be one of the reasons that that's near. But I'm just guesstimating here a bit. What are we looking at? An environment that's been enabled. I want to point out a couple of things. So if you are new to this, what you need to start thinking of is enabling Defender for Cloud capabilities. Capabilities that will specifically tune the engine to start looking at AI workloads. It can sing a song, it sings multiple songs, but we want to make sure it sings a song about AI. AI is beautiful, it's wonderful, but it needs to be tuned, right? You don't want any false notes in your AI tunes, so you want to have a filter that will bring that to the surface. So long story short, what we want to make sure of is that there's an amount of coverage. So based on what has been onboarded in Azure, AWS, and GCP, we can extend our reach. We can start onboarding workloads. In this environment, that's already been done. There's workloads that have been onboarded. And there's workloads that are not partially covered. So in this environment, it looks to be all good. How does it look like to onboard? Well, we can go to environment settings. There's other ways of getting into it, but this would be an efficient one to go directly from AI to what's onboarded. We can see the environment settings. And if I scroll down a little bit, again, there's lots of information. We start seeing, and I will focus on Azure. I'll take a subscription. A subscription is a capability in Azure. It's a billing entity. It's a unit of scale. Resources go into resource groups, and that goes into a subscription. We can have many of these. Defender for Cloud typically is enabled per subscription, and it has got two main functions. We see that in the UI. There's the security posture management we talked about. Is it in line with what is expected on the grand scheme of things? Foundational and CSPM, is it configured correctly? Is it in line with baselines on SysNIST, PCI? We can enhance that, and that's where the word Defender typically comes in. Defenders go and inspect a bit more. So it will give you easier access to all the backend data, giving you UI parts where you can click on things instead of having to write code. But our main focus for today is not the CSPM part. It is important. It's on by default. We can enhance it with the Defender CSPM. But the thing we really want to look at is the workload protection, cloud workload protection, where Defender provides comprehensive cloud-native protection from development to runtime in multi-cloud environments. So it includes the shift-left kind of principle. It looks at code. It looks at all kinds of things. And there's again defenders that are used for that terminology. Defender for containers, Defender for storage, and then there's AI services. And this is the newer element. Until a couple of months, it was in preview. Now it's not anymore, but now this is the thing that we want to look at. So for this environment, I don't have a lot of permissions. It's already turned on. That's why we've got dancing lines and eye candy on the main dashboard. In the AI services, what do we get with it? Well, it's a very simple one-click setup. So no installation of all kinds of agents and difficult things. No, it's turning it on and it will start getting logging information and will start analyzing that. Right, so you don't have to write any code for it. It's just literally turning it on and it will start doing its job, analyzing the logging and determining patterns on that. We've got AI development that will look at the data, so we probably use agents for that. But it starts looking at the things that is actually being done in AI workloads, like in Microsoft Foundry and in other ones. It will start looking for sensitive data. So is there any data that is being prompted for that might have something that we shouldn't prompt it for? Is there some output? So it will start doing these things that we talked about, right? It will start inspecting that. And it will do that continuously for, on the control plane, for all the Azure AI services. And it will give information. It's not a piece of the puzzle that we can bring to a higher aggregation unit. That's why I mentioned Microsoft Defender as a bird's eye view where everything is being put together to correlate it with other kinds of activities, right? So this is what we need to turn on, right? The idea is to turn on these elements in Defender for Cloud, and anything running on top of the Azure platform will be evaluated if it's an AI service, and it will start giving us insights and giving us probably advisories. Now there's more configuration. There's also settings, and I want to warn you, or not warn you, but make clear that there's like foundational capability, which is, we see being enabled. By default, it will go and look at suspicious prompts. So it will analyze the prompting people do to things that have been developed on an AI aspect. But what it will not do by default is to look at data security for AI interactions. That's more the function of Microsoft Purview. We mentioned Purview. Purview is really about data security posture management. Is the data okay? Is there something in it that shouldn't be in there? Sensitive information types, profanity checks, things like that. So if you want to make use of the power of Purview for analyzing all the prompts and the output and also retaining those, because we've not talked about governance, and I know I'm introducing it here. But as an organization, you're likely to be subject to rules and compliance, maybe from the outside. And maybe there's some compliance saying, hey, you have to keep the evidence for a year or 2 years. And that could include all the prompts that people are doing and all the output of that. Right? And how do you do that? Typically with great difficulty. But capabilities in Purview would allow us to like suck it in and store it for the amount of time it needs to be retained. But it's this kind of thing with the connection to Purview. It's an optional. So it's not, if you enable the workload, it's not going to be flowing immediately to Purview. And of course, there are things in Purview that also need to be configured, right? But it's all meant to, like Aaron mentioned, it's all meant to click together, right? It's these pieces, they fit. You just have to click them together, enable them, and that's what we start seeing here. So in this environment, much of this has already been turned on. We have seen that, so it's on, and we can start leveraging the capability. So if I hover back to where we were looking at, dashboard like this has come alive because the functionality has been turned on. And if we scroll down a little bit, I'm going to disregard the middle part. It's really about the data and understanding the data. We're here to look at we're here to look at AI more closely, right? So there's an AI closer look, literally here in the UI. It will discover things. So how many agents do we have? Well, more and more. Literally, when I was looking at the platform 2 days ago, there were like 40, and now it's gone up to 54. So it's doing its work. It's discovering these agents while they grow. What do we need to think of? Well, it will list all the agents that it knows of. Right? The engine is crawling, it's listening in, it's collecting logs, and it's looking for fingerprints, and it has found quite a lot of these. Let me search again. So we're looking for a specific resource type, AI, machine learning. We're looking for specific agents in Foundry, but also, as you can see, there's capabilities that go beyond the Microsoft platforms, right? It's all about hybrid and multi-cloud. Defender is a capability that is hybrid and multi-cloud. The two main clouds that we've connected next to Azure are AWS and GCP. So we should have some results in here. And there we have it, right? So there's a detection. Let me enlarge it. So there's things in Microsoft Foundry. Great topic. Agents that have been developed there, but also in AWS Bedrock, there's also an agent. And we can get more details. And the beauty of capability like Defender for Cloud is it will give visibility. So it gives you awareness, you know that it exists. And then you can start finding out more about it. So it's very clickable. It's click next, click next, click next. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stay a bit on the surface because, again, this is not a deep dive session on all these technologies. There might be in future. I'm going to go back to hopefully where we left off. I have to scroll a little bit back. So it will help us to discover agents. What's out there? Now we know what's out there. Is that what we want to have? Maybe yes, maybe not. So it's awareness. But there's also this workload protection element, right, that we mentioned. It will look at what it is doing. Alerts. When things go wrong, it will give us an alert. So we see here a list of alerts that have come from the AI capability, Defender for Cloud, listening into activities, and this found stuff. And I will just take literally the first one from the list. User phishing attempt detected in one of your AI applications. Now, it's a bit cramped, so let's look at the full details. It opens up another screen. I will zoom in a little bit to make it a bit better for your side to read. It's a narrative, right? Typical for the capability is that it will help to detect something. It will tell you what it is, and it will tell you why and where it was found and what is connected. detected in the user interaction with a URL, and the URL was flagged as malicious. Okay, so I'm doing my thinking process here. So the user has a URL that was pasted into a prompt, and we know that the URL is malicious. Makes you think, right? Makes you think, why? What is it malicious? Is it intentional? It could be a researcher, for all I know, checking on malicious URLs. I don't know, but it's enough for me to be put on the trail and maybe go talk to the user, and would be able to find out who it is, and well, through all the activities in here, would be able to do that. But it gives us visibility, which is otherwise very difficult to get. Right? We know the agent, we know what's happening, we are alerted when something is not like it maybe should be. It will also relate it to certain attack stages. Now, this is really security, the security world. Attackers do things in a certain way, right? If you're a burglar, you want to get in, you walk around the house, you find a door that's open, you pry in, or you try to go through the letterbox. Hey, there's a window. You're doing reconnaissance, and you want to get in, right? So there's like these phases that attackers move through. We have a big framework in the industry, hosted by MITRE, the attacker techniques and tactics framework. And typically for Defender for Cloud and other Microsoft portfolio products, we correlate with that. So the specific element we're seeing in here relates to initial access and to persistence, digging in to not be able to be removed quickly. So these are attacker tactics and tactics. But what it is mostly for us, as you look at this, it's information, right? This is what it is. This is where it is. This is what it's associated to. These are the details. This is what you should do to investigate. These are potential causes. This is what it is. This is the URL. There's a ton of information in here, and so on. There's the account. I've obfuscated this so it's not visible because I needed to do shielding from some of the identities that we have in these demo environments, and it will give us advice. Right? It's nice to know about it, but hey, come on, what do we need to do? Well, look at the logs, mitigate the things, prevent it from happening in future. Oh, that shift left. There was a bang. We don't want to see this again in future. If we would have done these activities, and there's more recommendations, it probably wouldn't have happened in the first place, right? It's knowing something happened, taking care of it, and making sure it doesn't happen again in future. I will say, no, the tap is leaking, so dripping water. You're mopping up the floor, but come on. You want to stop it leaking. You don't want to keep on mopping the floor forever, right? You want to close the tap. So it's preventing these things in future to happen and to automate them, make them go away automatically. This is the perspective from Defender for Cloud, right? So this is what we do in this Defender product, specifically for these AI workloads. But this is an alert. Now, alerts are a piece of the puzzle. They typically need to be brought to a higher aggregation level. Now, also from a time perspective, we need to keep it a bit short. But I want to bring you to another visibility layer, which is the Defender that I talked about. I had a graphic on it, and I have to see if it comes alive. Microsoft Defender, the data from Defender for Cloud is like pushed into here, together with all the data from all the other elements that have been enabled. And if I go into the alert queue, we'll see a couple of different alerts. I wasn't able to find the exact alert that I'll show you right now. It will take me too long to triage that and to correlate it. But I'm pretty sure there are things in this environment that are alerts that have come from Defender for Cloud. I'm very sure because I set up a filter. So we see these elements that have literally come from Defender for Cloud. So these are alerts in Defender for Cloud, typically generated by, well, after we've enabled this AI capability, the AI Defender. And in Defender for Cloud will be alerts, but we bring these to a higher aggregation level for the security team to work on, the Security Operations Center team. And again, there will be lots of detail, maybe even more, because Microsoft Defender typically has got more visibility than Defender for Cloud has. It can bring together more and more things. And it can also start bringing together multiple alerts. I'm not sure whether this is actually a case where that is applicable. I don't see it that quickly. No, I do. So very small. This is part of an incident. Now, from a terminology perspective, we'll have an alert. It's like something has happened. but hey, something has happened, something has happened, something has happened. 3 things have happened. They are correlated. They belong together, and we can increase the visibility of the importance of that by bringing that up as an incident. So an incident typically is multiple alerts together, and this is a single alert, and that is what we'll have in Defender for Cloud. But in Microsoft Defender, we can bring that together and start visualizing it. It will give us timelines that are needed also from an investigation perspective. But I think, Aaron, that's where we need to start saying we need to stop, right? Because before you know it, we're going to triage. But the point that we want to bring across here is that we can start turning on Defender capabilities to inspect workload, to make sure that our AI workloads are secured. And if someone is acting or something is acting with the AI workload in an improper way, then we will have information on that and we can start acting upon that. Right. So that's, I think, the main part that we want to make sure we talk about in here.
Incredible. Well, thank you so much for the detailed overview, Marco. I know that even though it feels detailed, like this is scratching the surface a little bit, but what an incredible session today. And I know we covered a lot of ground. So we started with what makes AI workloads fundamentally different from a security standpoint. And then you walk through, all the real threats that developers are facing and thinking, and what they need to be thinking about, from prompt injection, from data leakage, model misuse, and then talking about Foundry, Defender for Cloud, Purview, Entra ID, how they all come together in this real unified strategy. So thank you so much for showing us exactly what everything looks like in practice, your depth of knowledge on Defender for Cloud and how it actually applies to AI workloads made this genuinely so useful. And I know that I am walking away with a lot of new knowledge, and so hopefully a lot of our viewers are as well. Thank you for joining us today, Marco.
Yeah, thank you, and happy to shed some light on these technologies. We do a small walkthrough. I also want to talk about a couple of additional considerations, right? Because there's always more. I think the important part is to get done very, very quickly, right? It's not so much about a tool like Defender for Cloud is, but it's about making sure that any development that we do, whatever it is now also with AI, that it is correct. And we need to go slow to go fast. Anytime you invest very early on in understanding what something is doing, will pay off later, right? So as earlier as we can put in these guardrails, by, for example, enabling these Defender capabilities, the more likely we are able to catch something before it really starts hurting us. And then, and of course, it also allows us to put that into place so in future it doesn't happen anymore. And the magic from AI currently is that it's so new and we're all learning about it, and that's what we need to continue doing. We need to take the same kind of pattern. Be inquisitive, be willing to learn and to adjust. And the more we learn about AI and behavior, the more we'll be able to also secure it. And that will be, from a technical perspective, so the here and now, but also more something for the strategy, so long term. What are we going to do long term with our AI, securing it, securing the data into there, aside from all the technical, the day-to-day things that are there. And coverage and cost are, of course, important. There will be things that require additional investments, not only from turning on a product and paying for that, but also from a people and process side, right? We need to make sure that people that are using this, they are equipped, knowledgeable, and they can deal with the pace at which things are going. And as a side note, from the cost perspective, at the Defender for Cloud that we looked at enablement, if you want to use the Purview part, that's an additional capability. But for me, that's all the considerations I had. So I think we can finish up just in time, and see if there's some questions and maybe get some answers out.
Yes, I don't think we have any additional ones in the chat. I know that we covered a lot though. So just the last one from me that I wanted to make sure we include for today is we have a lot of great skilling resources as well that you're going to be able to find in the description below. It'll be able to cover how to enable AI threat protection, AI threat protection overviews, as well as the ability for you guys to join the discussion on the tech community board for this.
A very good one. I put it in the slide deck. There's an applied skill that is really about securing AI in the cloud. So it covers Microsoft Foundry aspects, but also many of the things we were just looking at for Defender for Cloud. So that's an amazing set of resources with a little test in it also that you can take to get you up to speed on this.
Perfect. Yeah. So make sure to take the applied skills. If you are watching this on demand, please check out MS Learn for some more skilling on these topics. And yeah, stay tuned for more Azure Decoded episodes where we cover everything from AI, databases, security, and bring you the latest updates for new technologies as well as the latest skilling. I appreciate you again. Thank you so much for joining us today, Marco.
And people, please scan the QR code and do the survey so we can understand where do you think we need to go with you.
Perfect.
Thank you all for joining, and thanks again to our speakers. This session is part of a series. To register for future shows and watch past episodes on demand, you can follow the link on the screen or in the chat. We're always looking to improve our sessions and your experience. If you have any feedback for us, we would love to hear what you have to say. You can find that link on the screen or in the chat. And we'll see you at the next one.